is Friday night, hangout, creating our stories, piece by piece. This is Friday night, hangout, creating our stories, piece by piece. Exploring limitless opportunities, illuminate our path, amplify our impact. Oh, it's Friday night, hangout. Ooh, it's Friday night, hangout. It's safe space for ideation.
Hello, 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 hello. Very good evening to everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Friday Night Hangout. Oh, yes, I'm super excited because this is our 238th episode. It's not a joke. We've come so far. And tonight we're going to be wrapping up our series on personal growth and development with a conversation on self awareness and emotional intelligence. Oh, yes. So, but before we dive into the conversation, use the hashtag, let me know where you are. And TGIF, thank God it's Friday. TGIF, use it. Tell us. Show us that you're happy. This is Friday night after all. I'm your host, Joy Onyeso, and as always, I'm so excited to welcome you to another exciting time where we have insightful but fun-filled conversation. So, how's the week been for you? And if you've not followed or subscribed us to us yet on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We have the Friday Night Hangout channel. You can also subscribe to the Power Woman TV. There you get information on all that we do in Joy Onyeso Coaching Council. So you don't want to miss out on that. Now, have you got your note-taking materials, or you have something to drink, or you just want to just chill, just chill with us as we hang out tonight, having this insightful conversation. Okay, let's go in. This is a very topical issue, and is one that I want you to really reflect on, pay attention. It's going to be hands-on. This conversation is timely, especially at a time like this. If you're very active on social media, or even if you're not active on social media and you interact with a lot of people, you recognize that indeed a number of us need to work on our social skills. And that's where emotional intelligence comes to play. I want you to just pause a bit and think about a time where something happened to you. Maybe something very happy, maybe something sad. What kind of emotions came through for you, and how were you able to handle it? Just pause and think about it. Because, when we talk about emotional intelligence, they have different components. In fact, there are five key components of emotional intelligence I'm going to share with us tonight. And this will help you really in knowing who you are, in understanding and recognizing your emotions, in understanding the emotions of others, and also use this understanding as a guide in how you show up and interact with people. So let's just dive into the conversation tonight. Let's start from emotional intelligence, because we're going to be talking about self-awareness as a component of emotional intelligence. So we hear people talk about EI, not before it would be IQ. Just and when growing up, we would always say, his IQ is very high. What is IQ? Intelligent quotients, right? So, his IQ is so high. But these days, the conversation have moved from IQ to EI. We want to know your level of emotional intelligence. This also speaks to how matured you are emotionally. So it's not just about age. Yes, age is a very critical factor, but not all of it. Because you still have some older people who you would expect to know better, still who don't have an idea or inkling of who they are. And so they show up anyhow and cause more mayhem whenever they open their mouth. Some people, persons, when you stare at them and they open their mouths to talk, you will just feel like ducking somewhere because they just spew any kind of thing without a consideration. about who is there, whose feelings will be hurt, or the temperature in the room. And that's what this conversation tonight will really help us to put into better perspective. So there are 5 key aspects of emotional intelligence. But let's start off first by what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is your ability to, first of all, recognize, understand your emotions and that of others, and to use this awareness, that is the recognition, understanding, to guide your thoughts and your actions. So, emotional intelligence is not just all about you, it's about you and the next person. And so that's why we're going to be looking at the components of emotional intelligence. There are 5 key components. The first one is self awareness. It's almost impossible to be someone who is emotionally intelligent if you do not have a level of self-awareness, a heightened, in fact, level of self-awareness. And for you to understand yourself, you need to recognize and understand your emotions and the impact they have on your life. So understanding your emotions
Professor Joy and myself, we're having a year-end workshop. We call it a strategy workshop, where we are going to take time to understand ourselves. The workshop is in three parts. The first part is reflection. You're going to take time to reflect on your journey. How has community been helpful to me in this year? Which community has benefited me the most? So you're going to evaluate yourself in terms of your own personal journey, in terms of working with people, in terms of just personal reflection in various areas, how this year has been. And then after you do the personal reflection, we're also going to help you take some personal assessment where you'll be able to understand yourself better. So there are also going to be like personal assessment that you will take. And then we also have as a bonus the Maxwell Leadership this assessment. That one will give you a 30 or 30 page report about yourself. In fact, a lot of people when they do that assessment and they get the report, they say it's like, has somebody been stalking me? Because it will tell you a lot of things about yourself, your strengths, your leadership qualities, areas that you can still grow, areas that you can harness on knowing that this is an area that I'm strong in. And then doing all these things help you to understand yourself, that when I'm joining a community, I know what I'm bringing to the table. And then the top part of this workshop we are having is strategic planning into 2026. Because I believe that each year should be better. You should be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today. There's a quote that says, if you will not be better today than you were yesterday, or if you not be better tomorrow than you are today, what do you need tomorrow for? You don't need tomorrow if you're not going to be better tomorrow. So if you don't need 2026 if you are not going to be a better version of yourself. So the third part of the workshop is to help you strategically plan, so that as I move into 2026, how can I maximize the value of collaboration? Because that is one thing about community. You can collaborate with other people, just like Professor Joy and myself are collaborating now in different ways. How can I grow myself? In what ways? Having known my strengths, having known how I performed this year, how can I take it to another level? So that is what the workshop is about. And the good thing is that you can join in person. It's going to be taking place in the United Kingdom, in Reading, at the Hilton Hotel. But we're also making provision for people to join us virtually. So if you cannot be here in person, you can also join us virtually, and you will get the maximum benefit from it. Thank you.
for the Rediscover and Thrive Retreat 2026 in Zanzibar from January 26th to 30th, and embark on a transformating journey to reignite your passion, purpose, and spark. Do not miss this opportunity to transform your life and leadership. Register now. Get ready to spark your greatness.
Are you feeling stuck in your business, professional, or personal life? Or are you struggling to find purpose and direction? Imagine having a clear sense of direction, achieving your goals, and living a fulfilling life. Joy Onyeso Coaching Consult is here to help you. We will work with you to identify your strengths, overcome obstacles, and develop a personalized plan.
Okay, so welcome back. So sometimes technology can be quite funny, yeah? Okay, that's nice. But welcome and thank you for staying us through. So we're having a conversation on emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And I said that self-awareness is a component of emotional intelligence. And when we talk about one being emotionally intelligent, we're talking about someone who recognizes, understands emotions, and this awareness guides thoughts and actions, how you relate with yourself and with others. And there are 5 key components of emotional intelligence. The first one is self-awareness. You can't say, you can't talk about being emotionally intelligent without having a heightened sense of self-awareness. And that is you recognizing and understanding your emotions and the impacts. So when I hear people say, oh, that's how I am, when they go off the handle, when they're always, pessimistic and all of that. No, you need to understand what triggers you. You need to understand why you react in certain ways. You need to understand the impact of such reactions, right? And the impact of your emotions on other people, not just on yourself. So you need to know that your emotion is not just about you, but also about the people around you. Because oftentimes you project, you don't want to be projecting negativity, you don't want to be projecting all of that. And then even in the pro side, if you're one who is given to making quick decisions, spontaneous decisions when you're happy, then you want to watch making far-reaching life decisions moments when you're very happy, because then you may make decisions that you will regret. You say, oh, if I had known, I wouldn't have done this or done that, right? And so that's why it's very important that you understand, who you are. And one way of understanding who you are is looking at your patterns, your emotional. I would ask you at this point, just take a moment and think about all the emotions that you've exhibited, you've experienced this week, and which one stands out most for you. What happened? What was the context, background where you felt what you did feel? So please just put it down. We're going to come back to that very soon. Now, the second component of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. So you need to have that ability to manage your emotions. You need to have the ability to regulate and manage your emotions. You don't want to allow happiness to take you to the other end. You don't want to get too sad or get to the bottom of the river, right? When things happen. Sometimes you find out that you can't even make sound decisions, you can't move, you can't do anything, you keep yourself stuck when things that are too happy happens or things that are sad. So you want to build that discipline of regulating your emotions, so that it's not all that you feel that you say. You have to manage it. You have to work out, know the time. And this is where maturity comes into play, right? So you don't just say everything you feel. Someone makes you angry now, you say, you curse, you abuse, you say all kinds of things to the person that you regret. And sometimes you have to go back to say you're sorry if you have a conscience. Or sometimes, you're too happy, you spill private personal information that you shouldn't. Even so, people that you see that are given to talking too much, telling things that are not supposed to be shared. There's things that are supposed to be private, and you see them talking anyhow. They've not mastered the art of, managing and regulating themselves. So even the way we speak, how we speak, who we speak to, this has got to do a lot with managing how you feel. So sometimes you may go to a function and then you get carried away because everyone is sharing, and these are things you ordinarily are not meant to share. Oh, because everyone is spilling, you just feel you get caught up in the moment, and you're just spilling things you're not supposed to say. Oh, I'm sorry, I get caught up in the moment. I got caught up in the moment. That's not an excuse, and that's why you need to practice self-regulation. The other component is motivation. Now, these emotions that you feel should be able to motivate you to achieving your goals. So that's where that discipline and regulation come into place. You need to put all of this energy, drive it in a positive direction to do and achieve what you want to achieve. So if you're not able to harness it in a positive way, so you just be there sitting, and that's why some people are dreamers. You keep dreaming, but you can't go beyond the dreaming to manifestation. And that's why sometimes some of us, we get so caught up in the moment that, we think big, we think all of that, but you can't move from one step to the next step. Or sometimes it even affects your coordination. You become so dysfunctional. You're not able to organize and coordinate yourself appropriately. So, understanding your emotion and recognizing your emotion, one of the skills that it gives to you is that you're able to harness your emotions and drive it into, productivity. Right? When you see any high achiever, you will see someone who is emotionally intelligent. Then we come to the third component, or the fourth component, which is empathy. Now, empathy is not the same thing as sympathy, right? Empathy is when you seek to understand. You want to understand. You give yourself the opportunity to understand, the permission, because sometimes we don't open up ourselves to really understanding what the situation is, what people are saying, not just what they are saying with their mouth, but also what they are saying with their body language and non-verbal expressions. And so when you find someone who is emotionally immature, the person comes into a room, you don't bother to test the temperature, you don't know what is meant to be said, or what is, how you would act or coordinate yourself in that situation, and you just behave anyhow. So you need to understand what people are feeling. You need to understand there's certain things that require a level of sensitivity. You don't want to go spewing about it. And you see that sometimes on social media where someone, when you say don't rain on someone's parade, that becomes a level of emotional intelligence. That someone is sharing his or her good news. The person is sharing, so you celebrate. So you don't want to distract from that person's celebration. That's not when you have to bring in all your whole achievements and want to minimize the person's celebration. Some of us have A1 in doing that. Is when you see someone is happy, celebrating a milestone or whatever, then you want to minimize the person's celebration. Or sometimes you ask, why are you even making so much noise? Is it not this small thing? It may be little for you, but that's a major milestone for the person. I recall, my daughter growing up, she's almost 20 now. You know how time flies, right? She's almost 20. And for those of us who don't know her, she has a special condition, a rare genital disorder, which is called osteogenesis imperfecta. In simple terms, brittle bone, which means that her bones, when she was much younger, though, used to fracture at will. But, God has been so kind. And as she grew, the rates just minimized completely. But what am I trying to say? So our milestones were not the regular milestones. So the first time she was able to sit up, the first time she was able to say a word. In fact, she didn't speak. She she had delayed speech. I think she spoke when she was about 2 years and all that. So someone who doesn't know, they find me celebrating certain milestones, they say, what does it mean? It's not that. But to me, it's a big deal. And so it takes a lot of empathy for you to recognize this and not to downplay people's celebration, not to downplay people's pain as well. Not just celebration, but pain. When people are going through pain that you've not been through, you've not worn the shoes, you do not understand, it is not in your position to tell the person how to manage that pain. Some of us are very excellent in telling people how to grieve, in telling people how to do certain things, right? So, you have to allow people to do things in certain ways. There are certain advice you're not meant to give to people. It does not be very sensitive. except it's the workspace and then there are work ethics, then within that, you know, jurisdiction, you can say one or two things. But in their personal lives, my dear, allow people to do a number of things themselves. Watch, if your opinion is not being sought, you don't jump in and give your opinion about it. So these days, well, one of the things I've learned how to do is I don't jump into tell people, oh, you must do this, you must. No, if I'm not being, if my opinion is not being sought, right? So you need to understand people. And that's where empathy comes into play. You need to understand the emotions as well. And then you need to recognize the impact the emotion has on them, and, you know, how the decision they take and all of that. And then that brings us into the social skills aspect of it. You having that built, you know, if you build that ability to understand yourself, your emotions, understand that of others, it will now enable you to know how to interact with people. So it will help you to build stronger, better relationships. When you see someone who is always quarreling with different people, please go and check the person's social skills. And that's part of, you know, is a component of emotional intelligence. You cannot have a low emotional intelligence and then you have strong, happy relationship. No, it's very difficult. So that's why emotional intelligence is a must. And this topic is very apt because we are coming to the end of the year. Very soon people will be moving, you know, we're going to shut down for the holidays. People will move around. A lot of people will come around and all of that. You want to, you know, if you are one that have not mastered your emotions and you're always spraying it on people, you want people to see a new you this end of the year. And this is one thing you can even make a commitment to, that this year I'm going to be different. I'm going to put, you know, effort in understanding my emotions and the impact of my emotions and, you know, becoming a better person generally. We're all on a journey of becoming. What is that? Becoming the best version of ourselves. And one way of doing this is by taking time to study yourself, taking time to understand yourself. Now, it even would make you a happier person. And you know, when you're happier, you have better relationships. You get better results. You'll be more productive. You achieve your goals faster, right? And so that's why emotional intelligence is something, is a skill set that you must build if you want to thrive in your environment, if you want to thrive in your business. Because even if you're an entrepreneur, you will need a high level of emotional intelligence to deal with your team members, to deal with your employees, to deal with your clients and all of that. Otherwise, you'll be that CEO entrepreneur is always quarreling with her clients. Oh my goodness. I just remember the story now. Like some years back, when I was in a high institution, there's this salon I usually used to go to make my hair and my nails. And one of the things that drove me from that salon is each time I go to make my hair, is always one quarrel or the other with one friend, the owner of the salon. She's always in one case or the other. Them say they did not say, you said you. It was horrible. And so it is not me that is involved in all of that, but it became too much for me. I just did not want to go to that. That's how I stopped going there. She's a nice person, by the way, and she knows her onions in terms of making hair and making nails. But I just told myself I don't want to be in that environment. It's not a coincidence. Each time I go there, there's always something happening, something, some drama. And I told myself, no, that's not what I need. Sometimes you just want to go to make your hair. Like personally, when I go to make my hair, to do my nails, I just want that quiet while my hair is being. It's an opportunity to just have a me time. So it's not a time to, you know, witness a whole lot of drama playing out and all that. That's actually lost me as a client, right? And so even as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you need to be emotionally intelligent. So if maybe you sell a product and someone comes back to you, this product is bad, you know, the tendency sometimes is to lash out, to defend yourself or your product. And that's why emotional intelligence skills is so required. You would know how to recognize what you feel, recognize what the other person is feeling, right? Because you need to put yourself in the other person's shoes to understand the feeling. And that gives you an awareness on how to, you know, speak to the person or how to react, on how to de escalate the situation. Some of us know how to escalate situations so that we don't, you know, a whole lot of things happen. When you see things happening on Facebook, on the social media, this one is dragging this one is dragging this one, and a whole lot. My dear, the truth is we're just performing for people, because those who really care would not want to hear all those stories. And you can better de-escalate situations when the number of people involved are minimal. The more people get involved, the more difficult it is to de-escalate, because interest will come into play. For some people, they love drama. For some people, it's time to get spicy news, right? And so a lot of interest will be at play, and then of course it will keep fueling and escalating the situation. So what we're saying tonight, as we plan to wrap up, is this: emotional intelligence is a must in this day and age. Whether you're a professional, you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're just a stay-at-home mom who is managing the family, which is a huge deal, by the way, because to deal with our kids, to deal with spouses, you need a lot of emotional intelligence. Otherwise, especially at the home front, you start building up resentment. Communication becomes a big deal. You won't be able to communicate effectively. And that's why emotional intelligence becomes, very, very helpful, very beneficial to building relationship. You would know when one person is over the roof, that's not the time to go over the roof. You can make your points, you can make your points without being abusive, without shouting, without losing it all. And so, it's you just really need to pay attention to knowing who you are and putting in an effort. No one is perfect, right? But the key thing is recognizing, understanding your emotions and the impacts and that of others, and being able to improve yourself so that each day you wake up and interact with people is a better version of yourself than you're presenting, right? Every day is an opportunity to evolve into a better version of yourself. And that's why we say we're all on a journey of becoming. Okay. So I want you to think about it now. Let's do an exercise, because this is one is hands-on, and I don't want us to leave tonight without taking away one or two things. So the first I want you to think about is today. Today is Friday, right? Think about today, then think about Monday through to yesterday or today. And I want you to note down what emotions played out for you a whole lot. Was it anger? Was it joy? Was it overwhelm? What was it? I want you to note it down. And was it very recurrent? Was it like almost all true? Is it because you feel you're not achieving your goals? Get very specific. Get very specific. One thing I've learned is, if you don't understand the root cause of how you feel and why you feel what you feel, it's difficult for you to make an effort to change it. So if you feel anger, you get angry, you're always lashing out, then you need to understand what makes you get there. I was there at some point. There was a time I didn't know that, I wasn't paying attention to my body and to stress. And when I'm so stressed out, my patience is so thin like this. And so I started watching the pattern. And so when it's getting to that point, I excuse myself, I start working remotely, or I take time off and I become better, right? Because when you're wearing a lot of carbs, the tendency for you to get stressed out is really high. So that's why it's important to take note of your emotions. So note down what you felt this week. Also note down your reactions. And now, just listening to this conversation tonight, do you think there's anything you could have done better? And what are you committing to doing differently as a result of our conversation tonight? What is one thing you're committing to doing differently as a result of the conversation that we've had tonight? And that's your take home assignment. When we come back next week, Friday, I'm going to ask you to share with us, what did you achieve? Were you able to, keep to your commitment? Were you able to make sure you did not get angry unnecessarily? Were you able to make sure that you did not take far-reaching decisions when you're too happy or when you're too angry? You know how you be so angry, so you see this person, I will never talk to that person again. Nah, don't make such far-reaching decisions when you are up there with your emotions. Take time, calm down. If you want to set healthy boundaries, you need to think it through and make sure that it's not coming from a place of resentment or from a bit to revenge and all of that. It's not from a place of any bitter feelings. Yeah, right? So even when you want to forgive, you forgive knowing that you're doing it for yourself, not even for the next person. And so that's why you need to pay attention to your emotions. Your emotions is key. Even to achieving your goals, it's very key. Without understanding who you are, it's difficult for you you to know what motivates you. It's difficult for you to drive or harness that emotions into achieving your goals, and it's difficult to thrive or to live a happy life. So I hope that you've picked one or two nuggets and you're going to use them, you're going to share with someone, and it's always a pleasure to hang out with you every Friday. Don't go anywhere yet. I have one or two things to offer to you tonight before we leave. But while you're at it, just take a deep breath and tell yourself, I am enough. I am committed to resting and smelling the roses this weekend, and I'm going to pay more attention to my emotions and to the emotions of those around me. I would use this awareness to guide how I think and how I act, because we want to apply the knowledge that we've received. Also, until I come your day next week, it's from me and all members of my team. Bye for now, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Friday. Don't forget to subscribe to the Friday Night Hangout YouTube channel or the Power Woman TV channel. See you next week, Friday. Bye from that.
Join us for the Rediscover Drive Retreats 2026 in Zanzibar from January 26th to 30th, and embark on a transformating journey to reignite your passion, purpose, and spark. Do not miss this opportunity to transform your life and leadership. Register now. Get ready to spark your greatness. Are you feeling stuck in your business, professional, or